We're going to start out just with the basics. Like, tell us your name and when you were born, and if you want to tell us a little bit about who your parents were and whatnot. We'll start there.
I'm Don Palmer. I've been on this place all my life, except for a couple of years when I worked away. But I was born in 1946, April 28th, which makes me old.
Yeah, let's
I've been a farmer in something to do with agriculture all my life.
Mm-hmm.
I worked this farm for 32 years after I worked away for a couple. Then I went and worked for Bedford Farms in Harpersfield. And I worked there 18 years until they finally sold their cows, and then I kind of sort of retired. I got beef cows now and do odd jobs around when I can.
Yeah,
so
when was that you retired? When was that you sort of retired?
Sort of. Retired 2 years ago, about a year and a half. So I was 72, 73 when I retired.
Yeah. And
but I work just about as hard now as I did then, but I'm doing it just for me now.
Cool, cool. And who were your parents?
My dad was Otis Palmer. He was born and raised on the farm. My grandfather was born and raised on the farm. My great-grandfather settled the place. And I'm not sure just what year that would have been, but we've been here for well over 100 years. So, my mom was Ruth Graff. Actually, she was from New York City, got shipped up here because the family had too many kids. They couldn't take care of them, and was like a foster child for many years.
Which family did she live with?
Graff lived up in Eminence.
Oh, okay. And how did you meet?
My mom?
Oh, I'm sorry. How did they meet,
How did
your
they
parents?
Meet? I would assume that they probably saw each other over the hill. They could practically see the houses. I really have no idea, unless it was through Grange or probably some organization like that. They were always active in it.
Right. Diane wants me to get more of the background on your grandfather and your great-grandfather. Do you remember their names?
My great-grandfather settled this place, and then they moved away for a short time. And my grandfather came back and bought the farm back, and he actually bought this place on money that he made from fur. He trapped and hunted, and that's, in those days there was some money in that stuff, obviously. Of course, money wasn't the big thing then, but it seems to be everybody's got to have that stuff now. Well, of course, you have to have some then, but yeah, but he actually paid for it with fur.
And your grandfather's name, what was that?
My grandfather's name was Newell.
Newell?
Newell. Newell.
Okay. Palmer.
And my grandmother was Jane. She was from Charlottesville. And I have no idea how they met. But she was a school teacher when they met.
Oh, nice.
And she taught in a little one-room school.
Oh, which one, do you know?
The one over in Charlottesville is the only one I know. The one's up on the hill, where would it be out of? Well, you come right up the hill from Charlottesville, right up on top of the mountain up there.
Sure, okay. And they all lived here on this farm?
Yep, they would stay right here. Okay. My grandfather was here, well, except for the couple of years that when his father moved him away, he was here for his whole life.
Yeah. Did he ever mention his father's name, your great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather, David.
David.
Now I've got a son, David.
Wonderful. So who did you marry?
I've married first to Nancy. She was from Verona. I worked at New Hartford for a couple of years. I met her up there. And we divorced after being married for about 27 years, and I remarried Sarah. And we're still married. We've been married 22 years now.
Wow. And
my first wife and I had 2 kids, David and Jerry. I didn't have any grandkids, and when I married my second wife, she had 5 kids and 12 grandkids, and now we've got 13 great grandkids. So,
Wow.
so we've got a bunch of them to remember when it comes to Christmas and birthdays and all that good stuff.
That's wonderful. Do you have celebrations here for birthdays?
Occasionally, we haven't had any lately because my wife's pretty sick right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But we don't go anywhere much
Right.
at all right now.
Right. And
We had one particularly big celebration one Christmas. I think we had 26 people here.
oh,
The whole place was just exploding.
what year
In
was
fact,
that?
my wife said, "Take those kids out to the barn just for a little while."
How many years ago was that? Do you remember?
Oh my, probably 15 years ago now.
Okay, nice.
It was when most of all the grandkids were small. They were terrors at that time. Some of them still are, and they've gotten grown up now. But
So, did you have any brothers and sisters?
I had one. Well, I had 2 sisters. One of them passed away.
What were their names?
Barbara, that was the oldest one, and Mary was the youngest. Mary passed away when she was only 30. She had cancer.
Oh boy.
Barbara's still in the area. She's over on Dyer Road.
Okay.
You probably remember her.
I'm not sure. Paul. Oh, of course.
Yeah. She would have been probably a couple years younger than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. She's in the Jefferson Historical
Oh, yeah.
Society too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she saved the one-room schoolhouse. The
Yes.
Fuller District.
She helped bring them back from Cleo's.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now, was it your dad who originally took care of that schoolhouse?
No, that was my stepdad.
Your stepdad.
Cleo Moore was my stepfather.
Ah.
My mother married him well after my dad died.
Okay.
He was my best friend. That was one of the strangest things. My best friend became my dad.
Amazing.
I helped him do everything when I was younger.
Yeah.
Used to help sap and everything over there. But yeah.
Tell us about sapping. What was that like back then?
Ah, wow. My earliest recollections was they used to gather with horses going up the hill, and that's steep. They have to rest the horses 3 times to go up that with a tank. And when coming back down, they couldn't stop because they had so much weight behind them with the tank of sap. They couldn't stop. They had to go. They stay on the way. But that's of my earliest recollections. Then we went with the small crawler tractor, and that made things a lot better. But even then, some of that you had to shovel out before you could go anywhere. With them, you didn't have a blade on it. But it was tough then, and we didn't have pipelines. It was all bucket. We used to tap about 1,200 taps and make, I don't remember, I think it was about 300 or 400 gallons of syrup.
And where was the sap house?
Sap house was right up there.
Oh.
You see the old trailer sitting up there now? It's right, just this side of that is where it was. It fell down since we had tear down. But
Yeah.
I don't remember just when we stopped doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken over the farm, so it was probably in the early 70s when we did stop making syrup.
Okay. When it started getting more commercialized.
Yeah. And I rented the bush out for several years. Van Glad's used it for their sap. They've stopped doing that now.
Did you ever have parties with, pouring the melted?
Make the jack wax?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. We used to do that right at the end of sapping. That was the celebration.
Right.
When you got done, you had everything cleaned up. Almost always there'd be a little pile of snow up here someplace where you could go get a pan of snow and
Perfect.
boil up the sap, make it a little bit thicker and put it on that. Jack wax.
Nice.
Yep.
And did your parents make very much, income from selling the syrup?
Yeah, that was part of it. I don't know what percentage it would have been, but I'm really not going to say. 'Cause I
Yeah.
really don't know. But yeah, we used to depend on it for to pay some of the bills, of course.
Sure, sure.
But in
And
those days, we were making like $6 or $8 a gallon, and now they're getting 50, so
oh
or
gosh.
more. So yeah,
And
my
did
dad used to peddle it. He used to go from house to house in Worcester and Coverdale, around like that to sell it. He had
Huh.
a certain clientele that he went to. And I never had anything to do with that. I just did the bull work. I gathered sap and boiled and like that. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Did your mom make candy from it or just the syrup?
Some, yeah. She
A
used to
little?
make more sugar. She used to make the sugar like a cake
Mm-hmm.
and sell it by the pound. Yeah.
So at home, did you use commercial sugar or did you use maple sugar?
No, that's a good question. I think commercial. We use some of that, but we use a lot of syrup. A lot of the syrup.
Yeah.
Of course, we use the darker stuff because we had to sell the nice stuff.
There you go.
The old blackstrap stuff is what we got.
Oh, let's see. Do you know any courtship stories? Any stories that were passed down from your grandparents or parents or even you? Any good courtship stories?
Courtship.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I met my second wife, she lived in Guilford, and that was quite a little ways for this poor old country boy to go. But yeah, he used to drive back and forth. That was 55 miles one way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And we made that work.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that probably would be the best story I could tell. We met through a ad in the paper. They used to have a page in I would say the Shopper, Penny Saver, where you could meet people that were looking for people. And she put a ad in, and I answered it. Well, it happened that she was in Florida visiting her parents at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't call back, and about 2.5 months later, I got a call from Sarah. I said, I don't even know a Sarah. Well, she said, you left a box mail for an ad that I put in the paper. Oh, well, I haven't really got, I was milking cows at the time. And she says, well, thank you anyway, I'll let you go. Well, I couldn't just let that happen, so I kept talking. I think by the time I got done, my poor cows were in the bulk tank, but
Oh.
but yeah, we met about a week later, and here we are. 22 years later, we're married. So
That's wonderful. Yeah.
that was
good.
how we met.
So I understand that you have a what do you call it? Structure to have
Well,
meetings
that's a pavilion.
here.
That's,
A pavilion.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
we built that special. We have we did have. I don't know if we're ever going to have another one now, but the Peaceful Valley Gospel Festival. Yeah, we had it ourselves for 16 years.
Oh my
And
God.
then one year, another church took it over, and of course this year with the COVID thing, stopped that. So, but yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that.
How
It was a
long-
lot of work, but we got to know some all incredible gospel singers and people through that. Yeah.
So it wasn't just religious services. It was like a
Oh, we
big
had them
celebration?
too, but
Yeah?
we had a festival every year for 16 years.
Ah.
We would have about 4 or 5 different performers. I say that tongue in cheek because that's not really what you would call them, but they were spreading the word by singing. So, yeah, but that's
Nice.
we've got some really good friends from that.
Yeah. What years would you say that was?
Well, up until just a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it was. I'm not sure just what the dates would be, but it was we did it for 16 years before that. It
Nice.
went for 17 because last year they had one, but we didn't get involved in it then. Well, we got involved because it was here, but it wasn't. But we didn't run it. We
Organize
didn't
it.
take any of
Yeah.
things for it. It got to be too much. It was just too much for us. We were getting too old for it. But
Yeah.
we really enjoyed it. That was
That's
fun.
nice. That's nice.
And we did have Sunday meetings here for quite a while. And during that same time, the local churches used to have a get together every summer here once a year. They would have a guest speaker and a picnic, and we had we've had, I don't know how many we had here the one year, almost 300 folks for the festival one year. That was the most we ever had. But that field was covered with cars. And this whole lawn and out and back, and they were sitting on the bales of hay. There were so many people here.
And were your parents or your grandparents involved with the church as well?
Not really. My grandparents, not at all. My mother, in her later years, she was really involved in church. But when she and my dad were married, my dad would take us to Sunday school and leave. And that was as close as he ever got. But I didn't get saved until I was 50. So that really turned my life around.
Good.
That was when I divorced from my first wife, and things got pretty hairy there for a while. I almost committed suicide, and that took an awful lot right there. And God reached out and got me, and since then I've been trying to do His work. So sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I'm not a long ways from being perfect. I got to admit that, but if there's anything He tells me to do, I try it anyway.
And He got you through the hard times.
That's what happened with the festival. We asked to have this place used for something. We gave the farm to the Lord, and that's how we used it. So
Perfect.
it seems to be, I don't know, I hope it isn't over with. I'd like to think there's something else in store, but who knows.
Yeah. Always is.
Yep.
I'm gonna jump to something different. Do you have any idea where your ancestors came from in the old country? Any clues? No stories?
No, I can't say as I do. My grandfather, my grandfather and my grandmother had Indian blood.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I think it must have been Huron, but I'm not sure. But I don't really know. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
My mother was German,
Mm-hmm.
and they came. She was born in the city in New York. But like I told you before, her family. She was the youngest, and her family was just too big to be taken care of, so she got fostered out up here.
Yeah.
She didn't even know she had family for, I think it was over 30 years before she ever met her sisters and brothers. And then she didn't know. She only met her father, and he died within a year of their meeting.
Yeah.
But it was quite an incredible thing for her.
Yeah.
I can just about remember it. I don't remember it well, but
Right.
yeah.
So she felt that her foster family was more her family then, or?
Well, that's who she called her mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother Graff. Well, that was her. That was her mother
Right.
to her.
Of course.
But she was more. It wasn't a very good situation where she was anyway. She was more a slave than she was a daughter.
That happens
She was
way
there to
too
work.
often.
That was it. It told on her for a long time. She couldn't realize that there was love anywhere for a long time, and she still had problems with that even until the day she died. I know she did. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I really don't know too much about the background there.
That's okay. What else? What did your father, I guess, raise on the farm when he was here? I know you have beef cattle now.
He had dairy cows.
Dairy cows.
And mostly that was what they did. Well, a lot of their time was hunting and fishing and trapping, because the fur paid for a lot of stuff. Like I told you before, my grandfather paid for this place with fur. But for years, even when I was a young person, I used to trap myself. I never got into it as heavy as my dad and granddad did, because I didn't have the time. I had more cows.
Yeah.
But they used to they used to kind of figured their farm work around this so they could hunt and fish and trap.
What did they trap? Do you remember?
Coon, mink, muskrat, foxes. But they didn't even have coyotes. Then we got coyotes now all over, but they didn't have them then. And I don't think they ever trapped beaver. But I know mink, muskrat, coon. Coon was the big thing, and we used to have we always had a coon dog. I haven't had one now for probably 25 years, but we used to always have one. In fact, I think the best year they ever did, they had 127 coons one year.
And where did they sell the skins?
Most of the time they had a fur sale down like Middleburg or Coviskill. The sale barns would have one. And that's where they generally took them. There was a few local buyers that would come around and pick up the fur here too, but they were few and far between. And I know my granddad never trusted them too much. He said they were always sloughters, so he didn't want to have nothing to do with them.
So was there any tanning that was done in the area that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
No, they always sent them out after that, they would buy them. But I used to sell to a local guy when I had fur, and he just resold them to someplace else.
What did you catch when you were
When I trapped muskrat and coon. Mink or two, and I did catch a fox or two, but it wasn't because I tried. It was just by accident. So it takes a special knack to catch fox and coyote.
Huh.
It's a totally different thing than it is just to set a trap for a coon. In those days, there were loads of coons too. There was coons everywhere. So
That's right.
I could catch the dumb ones and let the rest of them go.
Do you have any idea, like, how much they might make for an individual fur? Anything?
Percentage-wise, you mean?
Well,
Yeah,
either one.
When I trapped, it was more just for the fun of it. I mean, I was lucky if I paid for my gas, it took to run the trap line. But my dad, I would say my grandfather probably depended on it.
Huh.
It was more to keep the farm going than it was to anything else. I mean, it was I would almost have to say probably 50% of what they made.
Wow.
Because they were skinning something here all the time in the fall.
Yeah.
Just about any night you could hunt coons, they were out with a dog. And had their trap set besides, so they'd have to run them the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to treat the skins to keep them long enough before they
No,
sold them?
all they did, they skun the coons and then put them on a board then they got dried and they turned them inside out and sold them. That was it.
Yeah. You have a photo that you're going to share with us of your first deer,
Yeah,
right?
I got it right over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember how old you were when?
17.
17.
Yep.
That is wonderful. Yeah. We may get.
One of the biggest deer I ever shot in my life. Too.
Was it?
Yep. That was the first deer I ever shot.
How big was it?
8-point.
Oh.
Probably
great.
weighed about 170 pounds dressed.
Wow.
Now I've only got one other deer that was as big, but two other deer that was as big. One of them didn't even have 8 points; he only had 6. But
Yeah.
I've got a lot of deer. And a lot of them
I'll
don't
bet
show.
through
But
the years. That's right. That's wonderful.
we used to live on it.
Yeah. No.
Some of them that
That's
weren't quite
right.
legal either, but oh well. They still got eaten.
That's right.
Never shot one that I didn't eat. And that's one thing that I grew up. That's the way I taught my kids too. If you kill it and shoot it, you're gonna eat it.
Right. Right.
I don't think I've ever taken anything I haven't cleaned.
Respect for the animal and
Yep.
yeah. So what about sauerkraut? What do you use sauerkraut with?
Hot dogs. Sometimes we just have it, I don't know, as a side dish more or less, like
Because it's so
the
good.
vegetable part. But
Yeah.
I don't have it an awful lot anymore, but used to.
Perfect in the winter. It's a great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I have to tell one story.
Oh, good.
It happened when I was just I don't know, I couldn't have been more than 5, 6 years old, but my grandfather always had a barrel of hard cider down in the cellar.
Ah.
And he made a trip down cellar every night. And I couldn't think for the life of me why he was going down there. And I stuck my head around the corner one night, and I saw him down there drawing off a little bit of that stuff and taking a sip. And, it was kind of like he'd go, that was good, So I had to sneak down there one night. I couldn't have been more than 5 or 6.
Oh, dear.
But I thought, okay, I'm going to try some of this. He thinks that's good. I'm going to try it. Well, I didn't think it was very good by the time I got done. Woo! I took a big sip of that stuff, and I never should have done it. My mother found out about it because I was down in the cellar getting sick. I couldn't help it. But I do remember that.
Do you remember playing any games when you were a child, or were you working all the time?
Oh, we used to play games.
Yeah.
Some, sure.
What kind? Do you remember?
A lot of board games. We used to play Monopoly some, and checkers. Chinese checkers was one of the favorites.
Mhm.
We play Scrabble now.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite games. I don't. Dominoes.
Uh-huh.
We used to play that some. My grandfather used to like to play cards.
Ah,
I don't know. Did I tell you this story before?
I didn't remember it.
Anyway, we used to hunt, and by the time I was old enough to go hunting, he was kind of going downhill very fast. He couldn't walk around anymore, so we drove around the back roads looking for partridge or squirrel or whatever, Mm-hmm. And make a long story short, he liked to play cards and he liked to sip a little bit. And when we came back through Jefferson that day, we stopped at with the peppercorn. It wasn't called that then even. It was I don't even remember what it was called, but Jefferson
Inn or something like that.
Anyway, a couple of his old cronies were in the bar, and they wanted to play cards. Well, they played partners with pitch. And there was only 3 of them, so they couldn't play partners. Well, my granddad said, well, the boy here plays. I think I might have been, if I was 10, I was old.
Oh, wow.
But I wasn't very old, probably 10. Might have been a little bit older, 11, 12, but it wasn't really old. Anyway, I decided, yeah, sure, I'll play cards with them. And yeah, they said, like laughing, like there's no way. But we played cards here a lot. That was a Sunday afternoon thing all the time. But anyway, we played 2 games, and my granddad and I won both of them. And that just, I was so happy, it just popped my buttons that I played cards with my grandfather, and we beat the old guys.
That's wonderful.
And when we got
surprised.
Yeah, they got surprised. And when we came home, my granddad said, probably you better not mention this to your mother. Well, the first thing I did when I walked in the door was say, guess what, Ma? And I tell you what, I got grounded, and so did my grandfather.
I was going to say,
my
what did she do
mother
to
was
him?
not very happy about that. I mean, I was only 10, 11 years old, and
Even
he
though
took
you
me
won?
into the bar. Of course, I didn't have anything but a Coke, but that was beside the point. I'd gone in there, and I was, but I can remember that very plainly. I still think that was one of the highlights of my career. Yeah.
Well, I remember that place as being, I only saw it from a distance, because I was a girl. But it was always the older gentlemen sitting out on the porch with their rocking chairs and their pipes or their cigars.
Yeah, my grandfather was a cigar. That's all he did was have it in his mouth. He never smoked it, just chewed it.
That's wonderful.
Used to play ball outside. Of course, with 2 kid sisters, I didn't have much chance I never could win. Because they used to gang up on me. But yeah, no, I used to play ball a little bit in school. I had to work enough that I never got very good at sports.
Actually, I have something here that I wanted to share with you. I looked up The 62
Okay.
Jeffersonian.
I got 64. In the
Do you?
house.
Oh, well, that's your graduation year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And found that you were treasurer of the class.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I was treasurer through the whole. They trusted me with their money for the whole 4 years in high school.
All 4 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't see, I couldn't find you in one of the sports, but I assume you must have played some sports.
I don't know whether I would have when I was a sophomore. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't play sports until I could drive.
Ah.
So I probably didn't until the next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
I played baseball, basketball, and they started soccer the last year that I was in school.
Okay. And how did the teams do?
Well, the teams did good. I projected a whole lot of splitters in my butt from sitting on the bench. But I never played very much. My high score in basketball game was 3 points. So,
But it was good being part of the team. You
yeah,
go
oh,
to the
yeah,
different games
yeah,
together.
It was good, but see, I never could make practice. I had to milk cows before I could go. And I spent more time running around the gym because I was late for practice than I ever did playing the game. So. But I went through the ridicule of being a farmer, that's all. No, I had a good time. I used to have a good time playing though. I never was really good, but you know,
Yeah.
we
but it
used to
was
have
fun.
a rivalry with Richmondville at that time. We don't play them anymore, but at that time we were in the Schoharie County League, and Richmondville was our. Oh, you had to get them. Either that or they nailed you.
The big
I got
rivalry.
to play in the last Richmondville game that and the only reason I ever played is because everybody else fouled out. But there were 9 guys on the team, and they were down to 4.
Oh,
so.
wow. Rough game.
But that's the game I scored 3 points, and I tied the game with a foul shot, and then made 2 points in the overtime.
Oh, so you won.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I blamed it on me anyway. Not that it was all my points that won it, but it was just wow.
That's great. They're at the right time.
Yeah.
What about at home? Did you guys have, you must have had a radio. How about television?
Didn't have a television until I was, I don't know, I must have been in my teens. And then we had a little 6-inch box that was in a television that was about that big. Oh, huge.
And how many channels could you get?
I think when we first got it, we got 2.
Uh-huh.
And then we got, then I think we got 6, 10, and 13 at the end. Now we get, what, 275 or something like that. And, we still watch 6, 10, and 13.
That's right. So what were your favorite programs back then?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I had any favorite programs. Whatever ones I had time to watch, and that wasn't too many.
Mm-hmm.
Get in. I mean, we go through some of the old channels in there now, or the old shows in there now, and I can remember watching them. But by the time I got done with milking and would come down to, I'd eat supper and do my homework. I didn't have time to watch television, to tell you the truth.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't even know as I say. Bonanza, I guess maybe I watched that quite often.
Yeah.
But that one came out about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and I could watch that because I had time to watch it afterwards, after I got my chores done.
Were you in Scouts or 4-H or Future Farmers?
I
Any
was
of those?
in Grange.
Oh, Grange.
Got into that. I was quite involved in that. In fact, I even won a, what do you call it? When you get some money from somebody to help you for your education.
Oh, scholarship.
Scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a scholarship through the Grange.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
How many cattle dairy cows did your dad have? Do you remember roughly?
Dairy cows?
Yeah.
When my dad had the farm, I think he had 25.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was here when I took over the farm. I increased it to 40. I tried to increase it to 60 and found out that was too many for me and for the farm too, so I slipped it back to, I think I had 45 when I finally sold out, but
And the scholarship was for what, agricultural school?
yeah, for I went to Kobusco College and it helped for the, pay the tuition down there.
Excellent, yeah. Did you ever compete like at the Sunshine Fair or any of those?
No, I don't think so. I used to go to it. We used to go down and play. They had a band day. Used to play in the band down there. Man. I was in band in school.
Oh, what did you play?
Trombone. I don't think I could even pucker enough to blow it anymore.
Then you would have marched in the parade when they had Old Home Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to play. They had a jazz band. They used to play at the basketball games, and I played in that too. We used to have a party in town named Mr. Hewitt, and Mr. Hewitt was not real happy with some of the kids in our school because we went through town a little bit too fast and sometimes didn't stop at the stop sign. And so he turned us in. Well, when we got out of school the next day, we found out about it. And we went up to the stop sign and stopped and drove up to town and came back down through and stopped. We did this for hours. Nobody got stopped because we did everything just right. Guess who got caught? Mr. Hewitt. That I remember.
Do you remember
I got in
any?
a little bit of trouble doing that one night.
Oh, you have to tell us that one.
I do. I about broke my neck, to tell you the truth. We were doing some shenanigans up in Jefferson, and well, it was. I can tell you two of them. It's probably. Is there a statute of limitations?
Oh yeah, long past. Don't even worry.
The one time we were trying to run away from something out in the back of Jefferson, and I ran into a clothesline. Caught me right there, so I wonder it didn't break my neck. I went, phew! And I landed on my back so hard that I couldn't even get up for about 5 minutes.
Oh no!
Everybody else was gone, and I was laying there yet. I was sure I was going to get caught. The guys that were after us ran right by me.
They didn't even see you.
I breathed a sigh of relief, and I got up and I got to my car and I came home. I didn't have to do any more tricking.
Do I dare ask what you guys did that got him after you?
Oh, it was just smashing some pumpkins and that was the other one. I didn't really. I helped. There used to be an old farmer named, I'm not sure what his name was, Peterson, I think. He lived on the farm as you come off of West Kill Road and start down towards Jefferson. He had an old truck that he used to set up on his driveway, and it never ran unless it got pushed. And he had a load of hay on it at the time, loose hay. But I mean, that kind of tells you. Here it was the end of October and he had a load of hay on his truck. Anyway, we had the bright idea that we were going to get that truck down into town. Well, we got it down into town. We pushed it out of his driveway, and the kid was in the front seat driving it, and all the rest of us was pushing the thing. And well, it got going. It never started, but he had it in neutral. Well, he got it down by the school, and it was going pretty good clip by then. And at the time, there was a big bank where you went down to the schoolyard. Now it's flat, but there was a big dip. Well, he didn't think he better go through town with that thing, so he flipped it over to the side. But he flipped it.
Oh no!
And it ended up next to the flagpole. We headed out of town that night too. The cops were in school the next day looking for any instigators, and we had no idea what happened.
No, of course not.
I don't think anybody ever got arrested for it. And like I say, I hope the statutes of limitations are gone. That was, yeah, okay.
Well, now, I could be wrong, but I think I remember that you were part of a group of guys that, used to hang around together, like Donnie Crandall, Kenny Ayers. Was that?
I used to run with Claude Payne and John Hubbard, Ben Persing, those guys. Those guys.
Oh.
Joanne Pies. There's about 5 of us who used to kind of hang around together.
I see. What fun.
Yeah. We used to go down to Willard Welch's place and hang out down there. Do you ever know them?
I don't think so.
No, they lived down on, going towards Summit on the left-hand side.
Huh.
They were. Willard was Claude's uncle.
Oh, I see.
So he kind of hung there. He was a big kid, even though he was probably 20 years older than us. He got in as much trouble as we did. Well, he never got caught at it. Well, some of us got caught at it. But he was smart enough to get out of the way. Other than that, no. I never had any real bad times, but
no, it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, sounds like you were a pretty good kid all in all. Worked a lot.
Well, it probably wasn't my fault totally. It was my dad's fault making me work. If I'd had my druthers, I'd have probably been up there getting in trouble. But.
So, do you remember anything in particular about Jefferson Central School? Did you go to Jefferson the whole time when you were?
Yeah. I started in kindergarten with, I think there was 18 of us all together. They went all the way through school. And graduated together.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep.
How'd you get to school back then?
School bus.
School bus?
Up until the last couple of years when I could drive, then I drove. But when I first started, I walked out to the end of the road to catch the bus. But when I about froze to death out there one day, my dad said that wasn't going to happen anymore, and they started coming in to get me after that. But
good.
That was one of the bigger. I don't know. That one really set me up right there. I was in kindergarten, and back in I don't know if they still have the Christmas parties. The kids have Christmas parties, but you used to have Christmas parties. I'm sure when you were in school. Yeah, that was a big thing. You wanted to go to your Christmas party. Well, we had a bad storm the night before, but they still had school. But the temperature was about 10 below zero.
Yeah.
Well, I walked out to the end of the road, wait for the bus.
Oh my gosh.
And the bus didn't come.
Oh.
And then it didn't come, and I wanted to get to that party. I wasn't going to come back in here. I wanted to go to the party. Well, I was out there for almost an hour and a half in minus 10 degrees. My hands got frostbitten, my feet got frostbitten, my cheeks got frostbitten, and just about the time I finally walked back into the house, the bus came down the hill. And then he didn't stop. He wouldn't wait. And that really ticked my dad off.
Yeah.
He took me to school, and he went in there, and I think he raised the roof right off the thing. I don't remember what he said, and I don't remember what happened, but I do know that after the first of the year, after we went back to school, the bus came in and got me.
Excellent.
So whatever he said made some difference.
Good for him.
But
yeah.
But that was one of the bigger things he ever did for me, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, he really raised the roof that day. But
let me see. Do you remember your high school prom?
didn't have one.
Didn't have one?
Nope. Didn't have any such thing at the time.
No.
No. The only thing I remember was being initiated when I was a freshman.
Uh-oh.
And then the senior class initiated the freshmen every year, kind of. They dressed you up. It was worse than Halloween.
What did they describe it?
Dressed me up as a woman, as a girl, and held me down and shaved my legs. And, oh, geez. It was very, very humiliating.
And what did they do with everybody else? I mean,
some of the same things to the guys. It was just, well, you probably didn't get any of that because
we laughed after 8th grade.
I'm sure you wouldn't have, because we raised too much heck the year that we were seniors, and they didn't have it anymore. They canceled it right after our class had it.
Never used to hear about it either.
No, they probably didn't dare say anything about it. But that was a big thing. That was part of the
Really?
process of, when when you got to be a freshman,
Mm-hmm.
they had one day, and you went around school like that whole day,
Oh.
and you kind of bowed and scraped to the seniors. That's what you did. You waited on them. You were their slave for a day.
That sounds like a military academy.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
We thought it was fun.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't think it was fun when I was a freshman, but boy, when I was a senior, I thought it was fun. I guess we all must have thought it was a little bit too much fun.
Sounds like.
They canceled it right after that. I don't know what happened, but
Oh dear. Oh, let me see. Okay, so the military. Do you remember? Did you serve in the
no, I
military?
did not.
You
No,
didn't.
I had a agricultural deferment working
Excellent.
on the farm.
And did many of the boys in your class serve? I assume they did.
Oh, there was quite a few of them did.
Yeah.
Claude Payne especially. He was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Benny Persing was. I think he was in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Joanne Pies, I believe, was too. Claude was the one that I remember serving. He was on a submarine.
Oh gosh, he's a pretty tall guy to be on a submarine.
Was that?
Wasn't he a tall guy to be on a submarine?
Yeah, maybe, but he was still on one. That's
Yeah.
that's what he served on.
Huh.
He was probably my best friend in school, and we had a lot. We even seen each other a lot after when he got out. And when I got, he used to come down here and deer hunt.
Yeah.
He didn't hunt deer so much as he did take his gun for a walk, but he used to have fun. He used to had to have a beer or two.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't remember if the rest of the guys ever did serve. It was when Vietnam was the big thing, and I honestly, well, I never had to really worry about it because I was working on a farm,
Right.
so I didn't get. I had the agricultural deferment, but I don't know that I would have. I don't know what I would have served anyway. I might have gone to Canada or someplace.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in the war, and but I still, I have an awful lot of gratitude for the guys that did.
I know.
So
Yeah. What about the Cold War? We were kids in school during the Cold War. Do you remember any of those experiences?
not really, no.
Not the drills, sitting against
I
the
think
wall?
my dad seems so he was involved in. I don't even know what you would call it. It was like a militia or something.
I
But
know.
I honestly I don't really remember it. No.
Did anybody...
Food
one of-
stamps and I don't know.
Oh.
There was
Yeah.
something to do with
Ration stamps. Ration stamps.
yes, it could be.
Ration stamps,
Yes.
could be.
Yep.
Right.
That I do remember some about, but I didn't get involved in it. It would have been my parents if they had
Yeah,
anything to do with that.
Do you know if any of your ancestors served in like the Civil War or any of those early wars? Or World War I or World War II?
I don't know. I don't
No?
think so.
Nobody talked about it.
Probably they probably were in the Indian Wars.
Oh, around
My
here.
well, I know I had ancestors that were Indians, so I'm sure that they probably would have been involved in something.
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
have-
fascinating.
But I don't know even then. I know both my grandparents had Indian blood
Yeah,
someplace, but I don't really remember anything
yeah.
too much with that.
I'm going to try to do a little research for you on that. That's interesting. What are your memories of, well, let's start with Old Home Day.
Old Home Day,
Yeah.
the parade, that was the biggest thing.
Hmm.
I don't know. Used to, I think it still is when you have Heritage Day. It's to see the folks that you haven't seen in a year. Most all kind of everybody flocks back together.
Mm-hmm.
That was the big thing about that, is just the other folks coming.
Yeah.
I used to ride, when I was in the fire department more, when they had the parade, I used to ride on one of the engines most of the time, but
Nice.
other than that, I never really got involved in that too much.
How
I don't remember,
long?
it seems so I helped make a float for it once, and I don't even know what that was for now.
Right.
I'm trying to think. I was thinking about that today, in fact, but I don't remember.
We're doing a little video, for the town about the Village Green.
Okay.
There in the center of town. And we're trying to collect memories from folks of anything they remember, happening on the green, that they did on the green, just general tales about the village.
The only thing I really remember going on there was your Heritage Day, Old Home Day. Everything was always set up on it. Mm-hmm. Kind of, it was the center of the goings on. Even with Heritage Day, when they have that, they have their tents all set up there for their different. But really, other than that, I never hung out up in town all that much.
Right, you were.
And when I was raising heck, so I wasn't paying too much attention to what was going on on the green. But
so you weren't one of the kids who used the slides and the slide.
Oh, I probably did when I was real small, but
yeah.
No. Never spent too awful much time up there because, I was here, working. But,
sure.
Yeah.
How big was Old Home Day? Did they pretty much cover the green with all the different?
No, I can't recall that, to tell you the truth. I know it was Heritage Day is kind of patterned after it. They had a parade, and it was a yearly celebration. That's what it was, really. But. Yeah. I don't recall. I would assume it's probably bigger now because it just wasn't that many things going on. But now I think the businesses were all open, so you could go into the stores and into the bar, and of course that was real important. But I don't know.
Do you remember the motorcycle gangs that used to come when we had the Old Home Day?
Oh yeah, yep. They all park over by the Heartbreak and.
It was the peppercorn then, right?
Yeah, yes, it was a peppercorn then, but, yep.
Do you remember a wine bottle that used to sit on the bar at the peppercorn?
No.
No, you don't remember? Okay.
No.
Someone's given it to us, and apparently there was a big dispute about, who would be able to have the...
Oh, really? No, I don't recall that.
Okay,
huh.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking at wine bottles when I went down there, I guess. Oh, dear, no.
You mentioned to us earlier when you think Old Home Day might have ended. Do you have any idea?
Honestly, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. It had to be just a little bit before Heritage Day because I know that kind of took over the celebration part.
Right.
No, honestly, I can't remember.
I
don't think it could have been too many years before that, but I don't know just how long it was.
There was an old man who lived in town who'd been running it for about 50 years, I think. I can't think of his name right now, but maybe after he passed away, it sort of...
Could be. I don't know.
Just can't remember.
Charlie Buck was always one of the main ones in it.
Oh, good, okay.
The older Charlie.
Right.
But I don't know who would have been.
Okay. Well, that's helpful, though. Mm-hmm. Helps us narrow it down.
Harold Hewitt, I don't think he ran it. No, he was gone long before it ended up anyway.
Oh, God,
I don't know.
Remember.
How long did you work with the fire department? Volunteer?
Oh, I'm still in it, actually.
Oh, you are?
I've been in, it'll be 55 years next year. Been in it since I was 18, since I could legally join it.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is the most, the memory that you have of a really bad fire, or something that the fire department did a phenomenal, courageous thing in? Just a good memory of the fire department.
There's a lot of bad ones, but
yeah.
I think maybe the one that was was the best save. I think was it didn't save the house that burned, but there was a house on the corner right below where the Methodist church is now in Jefferson, and there was houses on either side, and they didn't get damaged. And they got the other one out after fashion, but it saved the two on either side, and I think that was probably one of the. I don't remember the names of the people or anything, but I remember sitting on a hose for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Well, there was some other ones, really bad fires around there.
Yeah. Were they usually houses or barns? Do you remember?
Most of the ones that I got involved with were houses.
Yeah.
It was, what the heck one was? Oh, Civitas fire. That was a really hot fire. And then I had one that was before I was actually a member of the Jefferson Department, but one of my neighbors burned out up here. And the one thing about that was it was a barn, and there was cows in it, and they couldn't get the cows out. That really bothered me. You couldn't get them out, and they had to shoot them through the doors just to keep them from suffering. You just couldn't get in to get them.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. My goodness sakes, I must have been 16, 17 years old. I probably was 17, because I was driving at night. And I was in Stanford, and I saw the flame, and all I could think of was this place. And it wasn't.
Right.
It was maybe up the hill, but I thought it was here. Boy, I came home from Stanford awful fast that night.
Do you think that inspired you to join the fire department?
I think it had a lot to do with it, yeah.
Yeah.
But my dad was a fireman, and so it was natural to join. But I really got as far as assistant chief once, but I didn't want. It's bad enough to fight the fire and then have to be in charge too. No, I didn't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah. How do they? I've always wondered. The volunteer fire department is just such a wonderful concept, but how do they get volunteers?
You got to find somebody dumb enough to join, I guess.
Flog them into it.
It's more word of mouth than anything, I think. You get a bunch together like that. They're a clique.
Yes.
The people that are there, they're in the fire department, and you want to join it. You want to be part of it. And
That's it.
It's if you really get involved in it, there's a lot of work to it. I mean, it's more than just fighting the fire. I mean, you're there at the firehouse once a week to make sure the engines are all right, to make sure the trucks are running fine, and and then of course once a month they have a regular meeting, and they expect you to be there. It's not you don't go once or twice a year and expect that you're going to be part of the crowd. You got to know what you're doing too. There's a lot of training now, especially. I think it's like 200 hours of training now before you can actually become a full-fledged fireman. And well, it's a safety factor. You know, you don't want to be fighting a fire when they don't know what you're doing.
No.
There's a lot of the machinery that they have to learn how to. The equipment's got to be run the right way.
Right.
Boy, I don't know. I haven't been really active now for about 10 years. When I got to be about 65, I said, that's it, I can't fight fires anymore. So I quit. But I still, occasionally go to a meeting, and I'm still on the roll, so I'm a fireman. But
yeah. Sounds like it's an honor to be part of it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I used to see the guys that got their 40-year memberships and 50-year memberships and think, my God, they're old people. Here I am. I almost got 55. I guess I'm old people.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. First one. You must have had some pretty bad winters here.
Oh, a few. Yeah.
Do you remember the blizzard of 57 to 58?
Not so I could say I remember it, no, but I remember fighting the snow. The biggest one was back, actually it wasn't the snow that bothered us so much, it was the water when it thawed.
Oh my God.
And I can't remember what year that was now. I can't.
Yeah.
But it was January. It was the middle of January, and we had the predicted January thaw. But there was also almost 4 foot of snow on the ground, and it rained 2.5 inches of rain, and there was like in the evening there was 4 foot of snow. In the morning the ground was bare, and all that water had to go someplace.
Yeah.
And some of it went through my barn. That was when I was farming here. I thought I was going to lose the cows. There was probably 2 foot of water in the barn. They couldn't lay down. There wasn't anything. I couldn't feed them. I couldn't milk them. I couldn't do anything. I tried and tried and tried to get the water to go someplace else, but the ground was frozen yet, so you couldn't bulldoze. And we almost lost the bridge. We lost the bridge here a couple years ago from high water, but we almost lost the bridge that year. But other than that, the snow we could always do something with, it seems. But
Well, and your barn is on high ground from the looks of
yeah,
it.
but it's low, and the creek comes down in back here. So it jumped up here because there was so much water it couldn't go through. There's a tube where we got a roadway across,
Yeah.
and it couldn't go through it, so it jumped it and it followed the roadway. And when it come down here, there wasn't any place for it to go except for in the barn. And that was the lowest spot. And I tried to get the cows out of the barn, they wouldn't go. I opened the door, and that was almost a mistake because it made so much more water come in that. But they lived through it. It was
They
a pretty
can be-
soggy mess for a while, but
Yeah.
we made it. It scared me. I thought they were gone.
Yeah. They can be stubborn critters, can't they?
One of your neighbors mentioned that you had an interaction with a bull.
With a bull?
With a bull.
Yeah, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
It happened a long time ago, but yeah, I used to run heifers on a farm up the road from me. And one day I went up to check my heifers, and my neighbor's cows and his bull and everything had gotten in with my animals. Well, I tried to drive them out. Well, I did actually drive them out of the pasture, but I had to go home to get stuff to fix the fence. So I went back up to fix the fence, and the bull had come back. And he did not want to leave. And he had me kind of treed on top of a stone wall. And he kept coming. It was a Jersey bull, and Jersey bulls are noted for being kind of nasty anyway. Well, that bull, he got up close enough, and I had what they call a hot bar. It's a bar to make a hole for putting a fence post in. And when he got up close enough, I hit him right over the top of the head with that thing, and I flattened him.
Really?
And I thought I'd killed him. And the neighbor was not a very nice man. And,
Oh dear.
and I hemmed and hawed about even going to tell him, and I thought, I guess I better. But before I went back up to make sure that the bull was really dead. And lo and behold, the thing was coming back on his feet. All I did was just knock him out. But I felt so much better after that happened. I never bothered to tell the man. I told the neighbors, but I never told him. But yeah.
So the bull never attacked again.
No, he didn't bother me at all after that. It was a funny thing. I got around to fix my fence, and everything was fine after that. But I never had a problem with him again.
That's wonderful. He must have liked your cows.
Yeah, he didn't like me though.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Well, and
That must have been John Anderson told you that.
I don't know.
John or Ruth.
Was it? Yeah.
John's always talking about that.
It sounds like it was quite an event.
Yeah, it was exciting when it happened, I'll tell you that.
I can feel my heart pounding.
Because I thought sure I'd killed him, but I didn't. Hard-headed booger. I talked to you about it. I think what we used to call changing works with with haying or silage or something. Especially here, we didn't have silage, and none of our near neighbors did either. But we called it changing works. If maybe my father had a mowing machine and the Andersons had a rake, and the next door neighbor down had a baler or something like that. That way nobody had to have all the machinery, And all the neighbors worked together to get their hay crop in.
Right.
And for years and years we did. In fact, even when I started farming, I worked with another fella for, I guess, 4 or 5 years, until it got to the point where I thought he was getting better hay than I was. So we kind of split up and went our own ways. Nowadays, you couldn't do that. I mean, you don't have that many neighbors in the first place that are doing things like that. But and there was quite a lot of times that those same gentlemen that worked together doing their hay and did for other folks that didn't have any, machinery to do it too.
Right.
So, and that was the way of life for a long, long time here. I don't know how many, and the big thing was when you went to another place to work, the women tried to outdo the other people with their meals, and that was worth the the work.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of those meals? Anything in particular?
Nothing spectacular, but it was just, always had a good pie or a piece of cake or something at the end. I don't really remember them, no. But
have you ever lived, you did say you'd gone away to work for a while. Have you lived other places, and where was
other
that?
than that, I stayed in Coviskill one semester when I was going to college. After that, I came back home and stayed here. But I went to work on a farm in New Hartford right after I got out of college. That would have been 66. I got out of college. I was up there 2 years. Actually, I came home the second year and ran the farm. My dad got sick, and I ran the farm for him during the winter. It slowed down up there. But other than that, that's the only time I've lived away from here.
Have you ever traveled or just vacation?
I went out of the country one time. I went to Mexico.
Where in Mexico?
We went on a vacation to Arizona. And of course that kind of borders, so we just went across and back. That's the only time I've been to Florida with my wife, with Sarah. She has family down there. That's where she actually came from originally. But other than that, no, I don't take vacations much. Yeah. We've been away for weekends. Been to Sight and Sound down in Pennsylvania a few times.
Oh, where in Pennsylvania? I don't know about that.
They have religious shows. It's down in the Amish, down towards the Amish country. And then they put on plays. It's called the Sight and Sound.
Nice. Yeah.
Put on, things like the story of Ruth and Moses and stuff like that.
Sounds nice. So, what kind of foods are traditional in your family? Do you have any special things? Yeah, that you...
Whatever holds still. No. I'm going to have to say my favorite is venison. I have eaten venison since I probably was old enough to chew meat, but it's still one of my favorite foods. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know how to use it. It's a heirloom. It's a sauerkraut maker. And I assume that you take a head of cabbage and put it somehow in here and then slide it down over those. I don't even know. It probably has to go on this side to make it cut. It's probably upside down.
Maybe, yeah.
But I would think that that's the way it goes.
Yep,
then you slide the head of cabbage over it.
Sure.
And it shreds it up, and then you put that all into a crock, and it works to make the sauerkraut. I honestly, I don't know. I have no idea how to use it. I don't know as I want to. It looks like work.
Well, and what does it say there?
It slides into those holes like that, I'm sure.
Very nice.
Somehow or another it goes
sure enough.
down over that.
Yeah.
We can put the head of cabbage in there.
That's it. Right.
So,
perfect.
but it's just something it says that be kept in the Palmer family, so it's been kept in the Palmer family whether it gets used or not.
So there must have been a German ancestor somewhere back there in your
Probably.
family
My
history.
grandfather did this. I know he
Did
did.
he?
But we've got there was a crock until it got broke. There was a huge crock down the cellar that.
How wonderful. Huh. And did you like sauerkraut when you were growing up?
Oh yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yep. Still do.
Yeah.
Not that I make it, but I still like it.
Well, that's one of the things we want to follow up with everybody on. We wanted to know if you have some family recipes, and especially if you'd be willing to share them with us.
I don't really have any family recipes. I love venison. I grew up eating venison, and I
Yes.
still eat venison.
Could you?
Most of the time, I just fry it.
just
Put a
fry-
pack of butter in the pan and two
So
thin
like
slices of-
just slice
yeah,
steaks,
you know,
basically?
your steaks. Yeah,
Yeah.
make it about quarter inch. And, yep.
Yum.
Put a little salt and pepper and garlic and onion powder, and sprinkle it on,
Love
and just fry them. Don't fry them too hard, because if it gets too dry, it isn't very good.
Yeah, then it wouldn't.
And Diane can attest to that, I'm sure.
You
She's
know.
probably eating some of that too. So I know John's a hunter. So but yeah, I grew up on it. I probably had more venison than I have beef.
So, and do you smoke any of it, or
No, I never got into that. We make Hamburg, and I chop some of the tougher stuff up into stew meat and make a stew. Put it in a crock pot for all day, and that makes it an awful nice stew too.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
I can't even tell you. We put in a little onion, and some mixed vegetables, and mushrooms most of the time, and
Yeah.
just let it simmer.
Well, if I try to write them up for you, and maybe bring them over, and you approve that, that's pretty much how it would go.
Yeah, I guess you can. I honestly, it's just kind of off the top of your head. You don't
That's great.
don't even really think about it too much. But
That's a good cook.
Yeah,
You don't need a recipe.
I'm just a meat and potatoes guy
Yeah.
myself. I'm trying to think what my mother might have made special. Back when I was growing up, it was pancakes every day. Buckwheat pancakes. She used to have a batter sitting on the back of a wood stove to start. And my dad would have pancakes from September till May. Every day, every morning. I got awful sick of pancakes. But there was always a little bit of something different. But
Yeah.
that was his thing. He used to have pigs, butchered pigs, and had the ham and the bacon with them. But it was a buckwheat pancakes. He used to had a wood stove with a griddle on the top of it.
Sounds like a good hearty breakfast.
Yeah, it was.
Did you have chickens? Any eggs?
Oh yeah, there was time when we had 500 chickens here.
Oh my gosh.
We used to sell the eggs. Yeah, this was a chicken house, and there was one just the same size as that up and back. I had that one torn down like a couple years ago. But 250 in each one.
Which was harder to take care of, the chickens or the cows?
Oh, I would assume the cows were probably the hardest to take care of. You had more to do with them.
Yeah.
The chickens, that was more. I don't know. The ladies of the house took care of the eggs when they got in the house. Otherwise, I don't remember. I know when I had chickens, I took care of them, but I don't remember whether my mother took care of them. I would assume my mother probably took care of the chickens in the building too. But I honestly don't remember that. My dad he jawed eggs for a long time. There was a fellow over in Charlottesville that bought and sold. He bought eggs from the farmers and then sold. They broke them and put them in containers and sold them to restaurants and stuff in the city. And my dad used to truck both ways. He would pick the eggs up from the farms and take them there, and then take the eggs from there to the city.
Oh.
That's why I had to be here, because he was
Right.
trucking the whole time.
So did you say jawed them or trucked them?
He trucked them.
Trucked them, okay.
Yeah.
Ah,
He
I
had a
misunderstood.
what was it, a 2-ton truck, ton
Oh.
and a half truck. At the time, that was a pretty good sized truck,
Yeah.
with a flatbed with a rack on it. But he picked them up and then took them over there, and then they cracked them over there, and then they put them in a container and took them like the restaurants and stuff where they could, bakeries and such stuff in the city.
sounds like another good income for the farm.
Yeah, well, that I used to be kind of disgusted because my dad was never home, but then you find out that that's why he wasn't never home, because he was trying to make a living.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it here on 20 cows. You just couldn't. But it was a way of life that you didn't want to give up. And
Right.
I always had to, even when I had 45 cows, I had to pick up odd jobs around to make a go of it. But, we did. My first wife, she worked for the post office, so she had a good income coming in from that.
Yeah.
And my present wife, she worked for the post office till she retired too. So, yeah. So yeah, with the two incomes, you had enough to make it. The farming it's just, well, it's too much at the whim of whoever. If you could name your price, you might be able to make it, but you can't name your price. You got to take whatever you can get, and sometimes it ain't enough to make the cost.
So it takes a lot of dedication to keep a family farm.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you describe why it's worth it?
Hmm?
Can you describe why it's worth it to you to keep the family farm, despite all the hardship?
I don't know. It was a way of life, and I don't know. I'm hoping right now that my daughter and son-in-law are going to take it over.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to take it over, but they're going to buy it anyway, so it'll stay in the family another year, another generation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it isn't so much anymore. I know your husband had to go through that with the family farm up there on the hill.
Yes.
They had to get rid of it.
Yes.
So
Couldn't pay the taxes.
I don't know. You just after a while I'm not making a living here now. I mean, I've got some beef cows, and I can just about keep the taxes paid by what I make with the cows.
How many acres?
I've got 150. I had 185 to begin with, and I sold. Was on the other side of it. I was hoping it was going to keep my taxes down, but it didn't help at all. I did get a little, a nest egg to put in the bank, but that was about it. It didn't help my tax base at all.
Wow.
And just about the time you sell off some, then the taxes go up. So now you're talking about going up again. So,
I know.
but yeah, I don't know. To me, it was important because it's been here for 4 or 5 generations, and my son obviously ain't going to have any kids, so I'm kind of the last of the Mohawks here, But I don't know. It's just, to me, it was important to keep it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to be, but my daughter is very interested in keeping it now, so I hope it will pan out.
Good.
We got to get through the lawyer stuff first, but otherwise, I don't know. I'm 74. How many more years I'm going to be around here to take care of it anyway?
Yeah. Well, we hope for the best there. How about holidays? Let's talk about what you remember from Christmas, for instance, when you were growing up. Yeah.
Don't remember too much about it, to tell you the truth.
Did you go out and cut a tree?
Always went out and cut a tree. We used to grow Christmas trees, in fact, back eons ago. That's how those spruces got so big. They were planted about 65 years ago. 60 years ago at least. I was big enough to help plant them.
You remember that?
I was probably about 8 or 10 when they were planted.
Yeah.
So they're 70 feet tall now.
Wow.
But they started out being Christmas trees. That's how.
How fun.
Anyway, yeah. Well, we used to grow Christmas trees, and I don't know how many we ever sold, but there's another batch of them way up on the hill you can't see. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really. It was an important time when my kids were growing up. I know I had to hurry around and get chores done so they could open their presents. But I don't, honestly, I don't remember too much about my own Christmases when I was a kid.
Do you remember any?
The big thing was a tangerine in a stocking.
There you go.
Because we didn't get oranges and stuff often. And I know that was a big thing.
How about your kids? What sort of presents were you able to, what were their best memories, do you think?
One of the funniest ones, I think, was when my son and daughter, my son might have been 5, my daughter would have been 3. He wasn't satisfied with the stuff that was in his stocking. He had to go and get the stuff that was her stocking too. And they kind of got mixed in together, and presents got mixed in together, and they all got opened up, and he had some hidden under the couch and some hidden under the and it was Christmas, so you really couldn't give him heck for it, but
I bet his
daughter
sister
still
did.
reminds me of that every once in a while. Not that they even remember it happening, but every once in a while she'll still say, you know, you leave my presents alone. And they're 50 now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh dear.
But yeah, you know, they got stuff they could use. It wasn't, they almost always got a toy, but it was more clothing and stuff that was, you know, you didn't have the money to, I can't say waste, that isn't the right word maybe, but you just didn't have it. You know,
That's right.
if you bought it, it had to be something that was useful.
Practical. Yeah. Yeah. How about Easter? Any memories of Easter?
Not really, not too much. Used to have, yes. My mother used to make a big thing out of it when we were little, of hiding eggs, but that was if it was decent. They were outside someplace. Used to hide them. She'd color them up and then put them outside. Then you had to go find them. And then we'd generally find 1 or 2 sometime during the summer.
Ooh! Find it by the smell.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That's about the time. That's the thing I remember the most about it was those smelly ones.
How about Halloween?
We didn't really do it.
No?
When I was small, we never did it. When my kids were small, we took them to just the neighbors in the area. We never went to town or anything with them. Didn't seem, I don't know, it just didn't seem right to us to go. The kids weren't part of the town. And I don't know. We went to the next door neighbors here, and most of them we called ahead of time to make sure, or asked ahead of time to make sure it was okay. And, we had neighbors up the road up here, the Pirelli brothers. They were bachelor brothers.
Yep.
They never had family except for their mom and dad. And we would go up there. They absolutely looked forward to it. They'd buy a 5-pound bag of candy for my 2 kids. I don't know if it was quite that much, but it looked like an awful lot when they come out of there. I know that. Because they were the only ones that came. I know they were. But they looked forward to it. Oh my goodness, if we didn't show up, where were you that night? You know? Yeah. But other than that, no, I don't remember. I'm thinking they might have had a Halloween parade in school yet when I was in there, but I honestly don't remember.
Right.
But I don't think we ever trick-or-treated. Well, when I got to be a teenager, we did a lot more tricking than we did.
There you go. Any family folklore? Like, does your family have any special sayings or expressions?
Not that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Traditions, maybe?
No, the biggest thing was been the hunting.
Yeah.
The hunting season was the thing. Deer season, the first day of deer season was like a holiday.
Yeah. Oh, it still is.
Well, yeah. But it used to be. I mean, I had an uncle that always came down from Buffalo. And he came down to hunt.
Sure.
I mean, it was the thing you did.
Right.
In fact, the last year my grandfather was alive, I would have been 12, 13. I think I was 13. And he still hunted, but I took him up the hill with a tractor and trailer so he could get up there. But I do remember that. But now the hunting tradition probably would be the big thing.
Did he teach you to use a gun, a rifle? Did your grandfather teach you to use to hunt, or did your dad? Yeah.
Yeah, he always hunted.
Yeah.
He hunted with shotgun.
Shotgun. You're going to catch it that way.
You couldn't. Yeah, the first the first deer he ever shot wasn't too legal. There's been a lot more of them shot here too that wasn't too legal, but that's beside the point. We had to live on something, and venison was here.
That's
so
right.
That's what we ate. And some of it had a tag for it, and some of it didn't. But the first one my grandfather ever shot, he shot with birdshot. Number 4 birdshot. I heard him tell the story so many times. He and a party of guys were out hunting partridge, and a deer jumped up in front of him, and he shot.
Did you have to
one pellet got between some ribs and got into the deer's heart, and it dropped after a while.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't normally shoot a deer with birdshot.
No.
That just doesn't work. But
He was lucky.
yes, he was. Lucky the deer wasn't, but he was. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, so hunting season's coming up. Are you guys going to go out again?
Oh, my daughter will come up and we'll hunt again,
Yeah,
sure.
cool.
Yeah, I have to get out. Last year I almost didn't. I broke my hip last fall Halloween, the day before Halloween. I fell in the woods and broke my hip, and I wasn't getting around very good, but I got up on the hill with my tractor and I shot my buck right off the tractor.
Gosh.
Well, my daughter was here to get it to the tractor for me, and we took care of it when I got down here.
How did you get home when you broke your hip up there in the woods?
I got back on my tractor and drove it home.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, I'll tell you that, but I got here. I couldn't hardly get off the tractor once I got here, but I got back in the house, and I laid up for a little while then.
And does your family ever hold family reunions?
No, I don't recall that at all.
Not
Once in a
really.
while, when my mother finally found out that she had brothers and sisters, we had to get together or two then. But that was, it was just when they used to come up from the city. But she had 7 brothers and sisters, but she didn't. Of course, she never knew it.
Yeah.
She called her a stepsister. It was Graff's daughter that she called her sister, and she knew she was here. And I actually think that my aunt Ann, she knew that the rest of the kids were alive, were part of the place, but they weren't here.
Right.
But then my mother found out. I think she was 30. I think she was 31 or 32 maybe even by the time she found out she had siblings. But
Was she the youngest?
yeah. She was just a baby when they brought her up here. They just had so many kids they couldn't take care of them.
Right. Right, gosh. Well, let's see. Then we're going to just kind of skip into general memories of the area. Like, do you remember there ever being hippies in Jefferson?
Oh, my sister. Whoops.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, she was. I'm sorry,
Well, yeah,
but
that's
she was.
wonderful. So,
Okay. Don't tell her I said that.
we may have to.
This is
that
probably
in
going to
a
be you're
secret archive.
going to share this with her probably. Oh my Lord. Take that off.
Well, I think she would be very proud of it, actually, so it's okay.
Yeah, there was a bunch, and she was part of them.
That's wonderful.
Really.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stories. I've heard some of the stories, yeah.
They weren't bad folks.
No.
I'm not saying they were, but they Yeah, there was a bunch.
What was it? Oh, I can't think of the words now, but love and peace and harmony and all those good things.
Oh, yeah.
One of the other subjects that I know you mentioned to Diane is, what did you call it? Horning?
Yeah, it's something they used to do when they had a newly married couple in the area.
Yeah.
They would surprise them one night. And when they did, it was, a big party. The couple kind of knew it was going to happen, but not when. So you were more or less ready for it. You always had to have some refreshments, but the people that came always brought them too. But the whole thing was to make all the noise in the world to wake the poor people up and scare them half to death. And, when you're newly married, you don't really want that to happen. Anyway, that was a thing that, well, you said you had it happen to you too. So, but I don't remember having one around here in the last 25, 30 years. But when my first wife and I were married, we had one. I know they had. We were living up in Anderson's house at the time.
Oh my gosh!
My goodness, what a time!
So it isn't necessarily on the wedding night. It could
No, it was afterwards. A while. Most of the time, you got kind of, settled in, sort of. But it was in the next couple months after you were married. It was just to kind of welcome you into the community and to scare you half to death.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, did the married couple go out and join the revelers?
Oh, they came right in.
Oh, they came
right in. Oh, yeah.
And you had a party?
Oh, yeah. I remember we popped popcorn. That's the only thing I remember about it, except for, running around kind of embarrassed with half your clothes on and not really being ready for them. But yeah, but they had to come up the hill, and we were married in December, so it was probably like January, February at least before they got around to having it. And in those days, the roads weren't kept real well, and it was slippery. I remember a couple of them got stuck coming up or going back anyway. Of course, but yeah, but it was the noise making. That was the big thing. Toot the horns, have chainsaws, whatever you could do, shooting guns off.
Oh dear!
Oh yeah. You didn't have a heart attack. You had a fun.
That's great.
Yeah, that was a thing. It was just something we always did that. I don't know how many we had after that, but honestly, I don't remember in the last 25, 30 years. I don't remember one. But how long have you been married?
Be 42 years in June.
So you probably had one of the last ones
41 years ago.
around here,
No, we lived in Blenheim when they gave it to us.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't assume it. There've been too many of them going on. You probably can't disturb the neighbors that much anymore, But actually, I think before they ever did it, if I remember right, we always kind of contacted the next door neighbors or something. I know Henderson's knew about it before they ever did it for us, but 'cause I remember asking them if they told them, and yes, they did. So.
Yeah, well, that's true. You don't want the neighbors showing up with their guns.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because they might not be shooting in the air.
It's really. That's great.
Yeah.
How about, did you ever hear any stories, it would have been before your time, but about bootlegging up in the mountains here?
I've heard stories, but I never saw it or
Right.
never had anything to do.
Yeah, it would have been earlier.
Yeah.
What kind of stories? Anything specific?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No. Just, you hear, no, I can't even say I've got any stories that I could tell about that. My grandfather would have probably had some.
Known somebody.
I'm sure he would have had some.
How about, did you ever go to the Peppercorn when it was in town?
Used to, yeah,
Yeah.
used to go there some.
Any memories of it?
We used to spend a lot of money and have a big headache the next day.
Oh.
That's about all I can remember. Drinking a lot, but no, I used to drink pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had a drink now ever since I was 50.
Oh, gosh.
Almost 25 years. But
That's wonderful.
I used to be I used to go to those places quite
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
But
Well, there were
anyway.
big crowds that hung out, I assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a lot of people there too. But
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
businesses?
Well, the Ericksons.
Ah,
yeah, and any others.
There
you
was
remember.
Dipmeyer store, which was a hardware store. Then Mitterers was a grocery store. Hewitt's was a grocery store. Let me see. Then we had Erickson's Body Shop. East End Garage was always there. There was a barber shop next to the East End.
Drugstore.
Excuse me?
Drugstore.
Yeah, the drugstore right up there in town. That's right. Up there next to the church. The church was moved a time or two also up there. There was a school right there where the church is now. In fact, when I started school, that's where I went to school. That school's gone now, but K through 4 went there. And then they built a new school. Otherwise, I don't know if there's any other businesses there or not. Yeah, back when I was small, there was a feed store down where the fire department is now. The firehouse used to be where the post office is now. Post office changed places 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure. That was where the drugstore was. And it was down next to
Down
next to Dipmeyer's store once too.
Yeah, that's the one, the earliest one I
Yeah,
remember.
that's Dipmeyer's is now where Ron Nicalzi's got the restaurant. Dipmeyer's store was when I was in school. It was, Joanne Dipmeyer was in my class.
Right, yeah, she was a friend of mine.
Do you remember going to George and Lil's?
Oh yeah, hung there.
Tell about George and Lil's, because a lot of people don't remember
That's
that.
right.
Oh my! Well, I went to school with Benny. Benny was the son, and yeah, we did a lot of hanging out there. I don't know. There's probably something good I could tell about it, but I don't remember what it was. We did an awful lot of drinking there, and they used to have pool table and shuffleboards.
Shuffleboard,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
They had a
remember
nice
that.
shuffleboard.
Yeah, yeah.
Really did, yeah.
I don't. That was in my other life.
We were looking at, what's happened over the centuries, really, and different kinds of, we're in the middle of a pandemic now, with COVID-19. And we wondered, do you remember, well, first, I guess, start with that. What's happened to you and your family as a result of COVID-19? How have you adjusted or had to adjust? And then do you remember previous things like, when we were kids, polio was still out there.
The only thing I remember was the polio. And I don't think it really affected us too much. You had to get a shot. I do remember that.
When they got those,
Yeah.
yeah.
But other than that, there was a couple kids that got it in school.
Yeah, I think Ron
Jan
Bergstrom.
Benson was one. You probably, if you might have known him. I know
Don't
you
remember.
would know him.
Yeah.
But I almost think he's a little older than I am.
Uh-huh.
But he's still got a very bad limp from having it.
Okay. Ron Bergstrom told me he had it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Right.
I'll be darned. Yeah, that's about the only thing I remember about it. I mean, colds. Well, back when I was small, just having a cold was pretty bad. Some of the stuff that my grandfather and grandmother could cook up to put on you for a sore throat, or it either cured you or killed you. I tell you right now.
Do you have any idea what it was or what they did?
One was called a mustard plaster, and honestly, I don't know how it was even made, but you don't want to know how it was made. Oh, burn. That's the only thing I can recall about it. It was supposed to take congestion out of your chest. Well, it probably did. It probably took the skin and all right with it when it went. But that's the one thing I remember about that.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, first though, the COVID-19, have you not been able to see people the way you would have?
Oh, yeah, we stay here pretty much. We've
Right.
cut way back on doing anything. Church is one of the biggest things. It stopped having church, and we really miss going to church. But
Oh, I'll bet.
we've only gone, I bet we haven't gone a half a dozen times since, what, March or April? They shut right down for months.
Exactly.
Now we only open up if the numbers are down in the county, we have church. We're planning on it tomorrow. So,
Oh, good,
so
good.
I don't know. I don't even know where my wife will be able to go, but
Yeah.
I'll go somehow.
Well, now you're involved with running the food pantry for
Yes,
folks.
yep. I help out there.
Good.
I
So-
don't really run it in any aspect, but I help as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yep. I help pick up and then help give it out when we have the Saturday.
So have there been a lot more people coming since
Yeah,
the-
we probably average another, I don't know, 10 to 15 families more than what we had. Actually, we had 3 new families last month. So
Oh, good.
I think we did, if I remember right, it was 53 last month. And where we were averaging around 30, 35. So
So is that once a month or
yeah,
once?
right now it is. It may change to 2. We're fixing things up down in the senior center. So we're going to move down there with the food pantry to give us more
Great.
room, have more place to put stuff. That's
Great.
the big problem where we are now. We're so small, we haven't got room enough to turn around in there when you got food in it. And,
Yeah.
and right now we're packaging up ahead of time, and hopefully when we get down there, we can give out what people want, what people need, instead
right.
of, well, we know they need a certain amount, and you try to put it in a box. But there is some things that maybe you don't want and Diane would want, or, vice versa.
Sure.
So, maybe you have a little bit more choice.
That's
But,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to be a part of that. That
That's
makes
a
me
great
feel
thing.
like I'm doing something for the community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are there, do you get the donations from the state, or how does that work?
Rich and Vanessa Irwin are actually the ones that do the paperwork part of it. You get a lot of grants. You can get a lot of grants. And we have been very fortunate. We've got several people that donate a good amount, and that really keeps us going. So
Great.
we had one party give us $1,000 check, and it just blows you away to know that there is somebody out there that really wants to do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly it's donations. But Rich, he is very good at ordering. If there's something that he can get for free, he'll get it.
Cool.
There's been times that we've had 3,000-4,000 pounds of food, and he hasn't cost the food pantry only maybe $100. So if he can find things like that that'll fill in the holes, that he does a lot of that. So.
And that'll help people.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess just any special memories that you haven't mentioned already that you'd like to share with us.
Not that I can think of right off, no. Jefferson is a good town. I've always enjoyed, most of the time I enjoy it. Sometimes now, I don't know, you got so much politics involved in any of it anymore. The small town used to be an awful nice place to be
Right.
with your family and raise a family, but I don't know. It's changed so much since, well, just in the last even 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, I can't blame it on just people moving up here from the city either, because the people that have lived here all their life have changed too.
Huh.
I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're hoping to try to rebuild some of that community
Yeah.
spirit
Yeah.
and cooperation that used to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one thing I did want to follow up on. your neighbors were the Paragli brothers.
Mhm.
They must have been wonderful neighbors
Oh,
to
they were,
have.
you couldn't ask for better. No, they were, yeah, you couldn't ask them to do anything. They wouldn't try to do for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any particular memories of something that?
Well, one time especially, I got sick. Oh, I don't remember how old I was now, but I was married and with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got mono in the middle of summer.
Oh.
Yeah, that isn't something that older person's supposed to get. You're supposed to get that when you're a teenager or something. But sick. I
Yeah.
couldn't do nothing. I was during haying time, and I was trying to get haying done. I did finally finish up haying, but
Man.
I had, if I remember, I had a sick cow, and I just didn't have strength enough to doctor the cow. I had to give her some pills, and Martin came down for a week and gave that cow pills twice a day. I mean, that was just one of the things, but
Sure.
and there was one other time I had cows get out. They got all the way over under Route 10.
Oh,
That's
no.
probably 2.5 miles from here. And I didn't find out that they were there until about 8 o'clock at night, which even in the summertime, it only gives you an hour of daylight yet.
Yeah.
Well, I found them, and I got them started, but Martin and Albert went with us that day to get them. Now, I don't know. I don't remember if I wasn't here until after I was married, so I was married, yes. But they helped me bring those cows all the way home, and we never got them home here. I didn't get them in the barn till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
So, I mean, we came all the way down through Rum Hill, and I don't know how many miles of woods, brush plots and stuff. You couldn't see from here to the tree because it was dark, and all you could do was with flashlights, and cows don't work good like that. But they
No,
came, we
true.
got them home, but they helped me all that whole time.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you remember them when you were growing up? Because they were there then.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep. I remember their mother. I don't remember their dad, but I remember their mother. When I was just a little kid, I used to pick blackberries and take them up to her, and she'd make a pie,
Ooh.
and we got one.
Perfect.
But I can remember doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. They were top-notch neighbors. You couldn't ask for better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Diane, have any other questions you'd like to?
We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did. We had fun too.
Did you
Yeah.
do anything with the
Just
Maple
don't-
Festival?
What's that?
Did you do anything with the Maple Festival?
Well, yeah, my dad and I were founding parts of the founding people that started the whole thing before they ever. My dad was actually one of the, what do they call them?
The founders?
Well, I say a founder. That isn't the word.
Directors?
Yeah, I think that's what they would have called him. He was one of the originals. So we were actually two of the that started the whole thing.
And why did I
He
skipped
used to have
over
it up in
that? That's
Jefferson,
good.
man.
Why did you start it? Was it because the old home day had kind of fallen away, or?
I don't think so. I think it was more just to project the maple producers around. There was a time in Jefferson when just about everybody made syrup.
Yes.
Yes.
I can remember my dad taking syrup to the train station in Stamford when the train used to come over there. You'd barrel it in, what were they, 50-gallon drums? You barreled it up and then took it over there to the train. And my dad would pick it up from all the neighbors and all the people in Jefferson, take it over there. He used to have a whole big truckload.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a time when, I don't know, there must have been, I bet there was a dozen people in Jefferson that made syrup. Now there's just Bucks are about the only ones that do it anymore, Thompson's. Van Glad's, I guess, still do it.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Tony and Andy rented my bush for quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you actually do at the Maple Festival? What was your jobs? What did you do?
I helped get I actually got hooked up with the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts in it more than anything. I was the leader of that for a little while when my son was in it, and they boiled eggs in sap. Not that it made a bit of difference, but it sounded so it would.
In the sap? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, you boil it in water, so you make a hard-boiled egg. Well, that's what you did with this. It didn't really make any difference, but you boiled it in sap.
Fun.
But it sounded good, so everybody bought them. Yeah, that was one of the biggest things I did for that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very, very much for sharing with us. We really enjoyed this. Yeah.
Hope
And-
I didn't get myself in trouble with my
Yeah.
sister.
Well,
but-
No, I think she's going to be very proud of that.
You think so?
I do. Yeah, we're tracking down all the old hippies. We're going to have a big
Yeah.
hippie festival.
Were you one too?
I was. Yeah, that's right. But not here.
No, not here.
Yeah, I was gone
Do you
already.
mind if we take some pictures, like you said, the hill,
Oh,
the
heck
farm?
no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Oh, and I guess I should ask while we're still recording, is it okay if we share your stories with, what we want to do is have these interviews available for people to see and maybe take pieces of them and put them in, like everybody talking about hunting or everybody talking about Old
I
Home
guess
Day.
I don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I don't think I did too much to incriminate myself, so I think we're all right.
No, I think you're a good
Maybe,
guy.
I don't think anybody ever did find out who tipped the truck over up there, though. So maybe you better not run.
We may leave that
You
one
better not.
quietly.
Maybe you better not
We'll
run
leave
that
that
one
one
by
aside.
anybody. I like to think we got away with it anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they had their surmisings who did it, but
No, nobody will remember these days. So
yeah.
I think it's fine.
Old Jake's not around anymore. He's not gonna press charges, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right.
I better not say that too loud. I hope I get to heaven someday. He might be up there
Oh,
waiting. I
I'm
don't know.
sure you will. That's great.
Oh,
All right.
anyway.
Well, thank you, Donnie. That
Yep.
was wonderful.